was brought by a couple of applicants. So the applicants were the Center for Child Law, which is an NGO. It was the school governing body of Phakamisa High School, which is a high school in Ezwide, PE, and there were 37 children also involved in there. And those 37 children were undocumented children. Now, I know that you've already alluded to this, Sammy. When you hear the word undocumented children, most people automatically assume that you are talking about foreigners, but that's not the case. Specifically in this case, the majority of those 37 children were actually South African children, but they were undocumented, meaning that somewhere, somehow, something happened that caused them not to get their birth certificates. No one ever applied for birth certificates for them, even though they are South African. And then there were also part of that group were foreign nationals. So that's the one thing that's very important. When we speak of undocumented children, we must know that we are also speaking about South African children that do not have documents, but they are still South African. A typical example would be Thabo Bester. Thabo Bester was never documented, but he is still South African. Now, what had happened is that prior to the year 2016, before 2016, the Eastern Cape government used to allow all children to be admitted. Whether you have documents or not, they would just allow it. And then on the 17th of March, right, the acting superintendent general of the provincial department issued a circular saying that, listen, we are no longer going to fund all these schools with all these numbers of children, and including those that are not documented. We are giving you 2 months to get identity documents for each and every school child that is in a Eastern Cape school, and those that do not have documents will not be funded, and they will be deemed to be excluded or non-existent in terms of our school system. So that is what the circular did. So previously they used to just allow everyone in, but now on March 2016, the superintendent general said, this must stop. We are losing too much money. We don't know who's who. Can you please document everyone? And those that do not have documents will have to be kicked out. Now, what happened is that then the Center for Child Law, the school governing body of Phakamisa, and these 37 children then went to the court to saying this circular is unlawful, it's unconstitutional, because for various reasons, and the one was that it's a violation, right, of the Constitution in terms of Section 29, which is everyone has the right to a basic education, right? It's unqualified. It doesn't say everyone who has documents or everyone who is a South African. It says everyone has the right to a basic education. And then they said it violates Section 28(2)(a) of the Constitution, which is a clause that says the child's best interests, right, are paramount importance in every matter concerning the child. That is a constitutional right. So in any matter that concerns a child, their best interests are of paramount importance. So that's Section 28(2)(a). Section 9 is the right to equality. They also say that it violates their right to equality because they are being discriminated against because they do not have documents. And then Section 10, lastly, their right to dignity. So the Center for Child Law, which is an NGO, the school governing body of Phakamisa High School, and the 37 children went to the court and said, this thing that requires us to produce documents we don't have is unconstitutional because it violates Section 29, 28, 9, and 10. Then, in that case, the government was also cited as respondents because obviously they now need to defend what they are saying, and they went there and tried to defend it. And I don't want to go into be too long and go into the legalities of what they said, but ultimately they defended it and said that they are doing this based on various reasons. The one is that it's a financial burden on the state because they don't know who's who, and everyone just comes in, documented, undocumented, and they have to fund all these children without knowing who they are. And it's a struggle because when you get to matric, you need to be given a number. And how do you get your certificate if you don't have an ID number or a passport number? All of those things, it was an administrative nightmare. Obviously, there's issues of space also. I've heard that, especially in Limpopo, the ratio for educator to a child is like 1 to 115. So for every one teacher, there are 115 students. So you can imagine what happens in a class of 115 children. So there's a space issue. So the government used all those reasons. Then there's an important passage in that judgment where the government said that part of the reason they are doing this is this. It says that, quote, there is no reason why illegal foreigners ought to receive free education by establishing, as of right, children of this status to attend no-fee schools, which are entirely subsidized by taxpayers. This is likely to lead to increased illegal immigration, as well as potential child abandonment or child headed households, especially from neighboring countries. And so part of the reason it says this will increase illegal immigration. So the government tried to put up a case to fight to kind of justify why they are doing this and why they are kicking out people that do not have documents. The court then looked at the whole case, right? The first thing the court looked at was the constitution, because we know the constitution is the supreme law of the land. The constitution is above every other law. Anything that is against the constitution must fall. It is invalid and unconstitutional. They looked at section 29, which says everyone has the right to a basic education. And the court reasoned that, as it usually does, when the legislatures in parliament say everyone, they mean everyone. When they want to, okay, so it's unqualified, meaning that whether you are foreign nationals, whether you are illegal, you have the right to basic education. And then they looked at section 28, which speaks to the best interests of the child, which are paramount in every situation that involves the child. So whenever you are speaking about it, Morna, please mute the mic. Sorry. Yeah, so whenever a child is involved, the best interests of the child are of paramount importance, and then the right to equality. Ultimately, I don't want to be long, they also looked at the international law, which South Africa has ratified and signed, the treaties, which is the African Charter on Welfare of the Child and the Conventions of the Rights of the Child, which both say that you cannot discriminate when it comes to children. When it comes to children, whether they are legal or not, you cannot discriminate, and South Africa has signed those treaties at the UN. Then they looked at foreign law, which is cases of other countries and how they dealt with the situation. They first looked at a Texas case in America where the same issues arose, and the courts in America said that you cannot discriminate against children who have nothing to do with the situation they found themselves in. They looked at another case in the Dominican Republic where the courts decided the same. And based on all these factors, the court came to the conclusion that while children are still in the borders of South Africa, you cannot deny them education based on the fact that they do not have documents, right? That is what the ultimate court said. But then when dealing with the question of, but this is going to cause illegal immigration, the court dealt with that and answered the government and says that, firstly, they said there's no evidence to support the submission. So the government didn't produce any evidence that illegal foreigners only come in order to receive basic education. The court said all indications are that immigrants come to South Africa primarily to seek employment. And it says, besides putting a proper immigration controls, the responsibility remains with the government to enforce compliance with the laws of the country. So essentially, in my reading, what the court was saying is that you guys have the laws to stop illegal immigrants from coming into the country. You are not enforcing them. We have a border that you are not taking care of. It's porous. So when children, when because of your incompetence, children find themselves in South Africa and they present themselves to a school, they must be educated. It is up to you to prevent people or their parents to come into this country illegally. But once you mess up your job and children are here, you must educate them, because you cannot burden children for things that they have nothing to do. It has nothing to do with them because they are children. Essentially, that is just to put it in the most basic terms, that is the reasoning of the court in terms of why it allowed, when it comes to children, that they documented or undocumented, they should receive their right to basic education. And obviously you need to remember, when it comes to undocumented children, it's both South Africans and illegal immigrants. Like I mentioned, in that case, majority of them were South Africans. So in that sense, that we should not lose sight of the fact that this particular provision also assists a lot of South African children that find themselves with no documents. Yes, it also will provide a loophole to illegal immigrants, but as the court said, is that you have the laws to prevent illegal immigration and to deal with people when they come into the country illegally. So you cannot come to us and ask us to punish children when you are allowing the adults to come in willy-nilly without doing anything. I'm just summarizing it now in the most layman's terms, but essentially that is what happened in that case. And the children and the school won and the government lost. And then what the government did is that they took what that judgment said and then they put it in the Bella Bill or the Bella Act, because it was just a judgment. It was the law, but it wasn't a judgment. So they wanted to codify it and they put it in the law so that it can be there as a statute. So that is just the background of the case. So I'll just pause there and maybe just give the other speakers an opportunity to make their submissions.
Thank you so much, Alu. So basically, okay, I'll come back to you with a question. Let me go to the other speaker. I hope you're not in a hurry to go anywhere, but let me just go to the other speaker and I'll definitely revert back to you. Mornay, hi Mornay, Jean, hi.
Hi, good evening,
Thank you so much,
everybody.
Alu.
And my brother on top of me, well said. And even though this puts all South Africans in a very uncomfortable position, and so I understand, but I'm looking at foreigners looking from outside, reading this, what type of mindset will they portray and what will their mission be? It's already their mission to come and flood us, by just coming in and coming over our border illegally. The thing is, the way I understood it, and I've read through all the sections, especially when it comes to 21, where my misunderstanding comes by the fact that if you work in this country as an electrician, right, and your papers expired, and you have to renew your papers, and your children is now ready for grade R, then your children is undocumented, and in that case, I was basically looking in that scenario, because if you're illegal, this should actually not apply to illegal people. It should actually apply to people that visas expired and they have proof that they applied, for a new visa or to stay maybe for another 2 years. Because like I said, this whole thing is confused and it's confusing South Africans and it's putting us in another emotional trap, we all over all the platforms they're discussing this and it's irritating us, it's making us even more angry because we're already dealing with illegal migration and illegal foreigners, and we basically already fed up with all the evil they're committing in our countries. But this Bella Act, really, this Bella Act needs to go. If we accept this Bella Act, we accept basically defeat. We accept the downfall of South Africans. I know this Bella Bill, the laws and structures within this Bella Bill is applied across the world, in certain places. But this is not good for South Africans, and again, the National Government of Unity is so quiet on this. They had a march, but they are so quiet on this. It's like, this is now not one of the most important topics. It's like they don't care. They're looking at other the more important topics. So all I say, it's a concern, and it's going to drive South Africans to the edge. A lot of South Africans is already angry to the point where they are prepared to start attacking and start doing the thing. Because like I said, marches, we can have marches, but if our voices is not heard, it is extremely, okay, I don't want to say too much because I see now the panel there's 4 more people on the panel, but this is another way of our own government undermining us. You know, because this thing was not even discussed. It was just applied. You know, and they know they're making us angry, and it's just another way of showing us, man, that you're not important. A South African is not important. Okay, that's all from my side, host.
Thank you, Morne. Morne, can I ask you a question? Are you from Cape Town?
Yes, I'm from Cape Town.
Are you okay? And I know you guys are also having a lot of influx of foreigners
Yes,
in your province, and the DA is doing absolutely nothing about it, because I mean that's what they advocate for illegal foreigners, for cheap labor and whatever reasons, and definitely to misplace and replace and displace Cape Townians or South Africans as a whole. Yeah, thank you so much, Morne. And you just brought up something which I had a question. Actually, I wanted to ask Alu about it. Is there anything that can be done at this? And I'm sure Dudu will touch on that, and Commander Josh and Keystone, whoever. Can something be done? You know, I think Morne wanted to ask that, or he indirectly asked that question as well. Can something be done, or is it too late to do anything about this matter? Hello?
Oh, is that for me? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, look. Well, it depends on which avenue or in which realm you want to do this, or you want to do what you want to do. Politically, is it legally or so and so forth? Legally, obviously what can be done is that the act itself can be challenged, right? So you can just challenge the act, go to court and say this is unconstitutional or it's illegal based on these reasons, and then if the court agrees with you, the act would be struck down. That is what you would do legally. So that is an avenue, because currently as it stands, it's the law. So there's not much wiggle room that you have other than going to court and challenging that law and saying that it's illegal or it's unconstitutional based on the reasons that you can provide, and obviously if the court agrees with you, they'll strike it down. That's one avenue. Politically, I mean, there's a wide range of opportunities there. You can lobby the lawmakers to change the law. We can topple the ANC, get rid of them, and change the law. So politically wise, I mean, the possibilities are endless. But legally, you can just strike down the law. There's another issue also. I just want to touch quickly. So I comment on the chat about the fact that Section 1 speaks of required documents, right? So I just want to put this. So what the Act does, it does not say that foreigners or undocumented children don't have to provide, or maybe children don't have to at all provide documents. The ideal thing, so what they want to do first, or what they want first, is that you must produce the documents, right? And list them. It's permits, it's your birth certificate, identity document, all of those, you must permit them. But if you have a reading of Section 5, which is the new section, and which is what is causing the uproar, and if everyone has the new act open, I would implore you to read it for yourself, because I've seen this confusion on the timeline on Twitter also, where people are saying that no, it doesn't say that undocumented children may be admitted, because in Section 1 there's a requirement of documents. But Section 5 provides an exception. It's Section 5(1)(1)(a). It says any learner whose parent or guardian has not provided any required documents, whether of the learner or the adult acting on behalf of the learner during the application for admission, shall nonetheless be allowed to attend school. So that's an exception. It's straightforward. Any learner who does not provide documents shall nonetheless be allowed to attend the school. And then it says the principal of the school must then follow up and advise the parent or guardian to secure the required documents. Now, the previous regime that was changed, that was found unconstitutional, had a time limit, right? It was first 3 months, and then they extended it to 12 months, where it was said that if you do not provide the documents within 3 months, you will be kicked off. And then they extended it to 12 months, where they said if you do not provide the documents within 12 months, you will be removed from the school. Now, what the courts are saying that even if after the 12 months passes, you cannot just remove children from the school. It seems like they will be staying there indefinitely because there's no time limit on the new act, which says that by this time. But it just says that the principal must advise and follow up with the parents, so on and so forth. But my thing with this is that when it comes to illegal immigrants or children of illegal immigrants, it should not happen that they actually end up attending school for such a long time. Because what should happen is that Department of Home Affairs must then play their role, right? For instance, if 2 illegal immigrants come to the school to register their illegal child, somewhere between the Department of Home Affairs and the Department of Basic Education, there must be communication to saying that, look, we've received so many applications, so many of them are from illegal immigrants. These are the details, these are the name. You must do your jobs. Those people must be deported. So I do not envision that a lot of unless obviously we know our government sometimes they like to sleep. When it comes to people that are here illegally, they should be deported. It's a crime in terms of the Immigration Act. They should not be here. And once they come to the school and want to register their child, then they should be reported, and then the Department of Home Affairs must do their job. If you listen to the interview that had the Operation Dudula lady president on YouTube, there's a SGB lady that confirmed that this actually does happen. She said there's been instances where the immigration officials have come to the school with the parents to fetch the child that they were going to be deported. So for me, this also is an opportunity for actually to sniff out illegal immigrants. So we will be able to sniff them out this way if we are smart about it, to say all schools that have received undocumented children must submit those details to the Home Affairs. Home Affairs will check all those people, investigate who are South Africans, who are immigrants, and those immigrants, are they here illegally? Where are the parents? Because you know what might also happen is that the illegal parents themselves won't go to the school. They will buy a South African person, like they did with the registration of spaza shops, and say, you go register this child and say that you are a guardian and that their parents have deserted them. So maybe that's how they will get around the system, where South Africans assist them to register this child. But an illegal immigrant going to the school to register an illegal child, that should be reported immediately to the Department of Home Affairs, and those people should be deported. But in terms of, I just wanted to clarify that Section 5 does provide an exception that yes, we want documents, but if you don't have documents, nonetheless you must still be allowed to attend the school.
Thank you, Elo. Thank you so much for that.